Hi, I'm Sterling Anderson. I'm a co-founder and the Chief Product Officer here at Aurora. I'll be talking with you today about how we're bringing the Aurora Driver to market in both trucking and ride-hailing applications. We'll spend the next few minutes discussing how we're leveraging key attributes of the Aurora Driver's common core to bring it to market. This discussion will also briefly touch on the role partnerships play in our go-to-market strategy and the way that we leverage our unique access to data to inform not just the lane and market entry sequence for trucking and ride-hailing respectively, but also the driving capabilities unlock sequence and the way that we operate our vehicles in market to maximize both service levels and vehicle utilization. The Aurora Driver has been designed to transform two markets. In trucking, our driver as a service product and the suite of tools and services that accompany it are collectively known as Aurora Horizon. In application to ride hailing, we refer to it as Aurora Connect. I'll touch briefly on the relationship between Horizon and Connect through the common core of the Aurora Driver's hardware, software, data services, and support tools, but then I'll focus the balance of the discussion on each of these product bundles in turn. Aurora Horizon and Aurora Connect are based in a common technological core. What I mean by that is that all vehicles powered by the Aurora Driver, be they passenger vehicles, light commercial vehicles, box trucks, or even heavy combination trucks, use the same hardware, software, and data services. Besides the obvious economies of scale this allows on the hardware front, it also creates for a powerful synergistic development process in which truck development, which we've initially focused on a limited set of operational domains and driving capabilities, exercises this common technological core's validation, while car-based development expands its capabilities. Each product then directly inherits advances made by the other. What this means in practice is illustrated on this slide. Aurora Horizon's first launch will happen once we've refined and validated the safety of the Aurora Driver on highways. Now, these same highways and this validation then serves as the backbone of off-highway expansion that ride-hailing pushes forward. And the nature of that expansion is that of moving from highways into airports and moving from highways into large centers of pickup, drop-off demand. For instance, hotel parks, business districts, convention centers, other things that allow for kind of significant degree of consolidation around similar locations. As the Aurora Driver then benefits from this expansion, from these capabilities that it's endowed it with, our trucking product naturally inherits those capabilities and can begin to operate in warehouse to warehouse, or what's commonly known as dock to dock type settings, which further increases the capillarity and expanse of the road network that we can serve our logistics customers on. And then finally, as we finalize the expansion of the ride-hailing product, we'll move into more dense urban environments, like city centers, and moving people to their homes. And that in turn benefits our trucking product as well, which is now able to move, for instance, between distribution centers, stores, other locations where trucks have to move, but that are incrementally more urban and require the more complex capabilities that we're developing with Aurora Connect. Our products will come to market with powerful partners who share our values and are strategically positioned in their respective industries. As it relates to strategic positioning, it's important to note that the power dynamics in the logistics and ride-hailing value chains are reversed. On the logistics front, the OEM landscape is highly consolidated, with just 4 major manufacturers serving the North American Class 8 market, while the carrier landscape is highly fragmented. Now, this situation is the opposite in the ride-hailing space, where none of the more than dozen OEMs servicing the North American market command more than 20% share, but 2 ride-hailing networks dominate the customer-facing market. So we're excited to be partnered with strong companies from across each industry that share our values, but given the power dynamics at play, we're also pleased to have secured powerful alliances in some of the industry's most consolidated segments, with 2 of the top 3 manufacturers of Class 8 trucks in North America and the single largest ride-hailing network on the continent as well. And as we bring our products to market, we expect both our OEM and our carrier partners to play significant roles, and we expect these products that we're creating with them to create substantial value for each in their respective fields. Let's take a moment to discuss Aurora Horizon, the market it's entering, the bundles it offers, and the rollout it'll follow. We'll talk first about the market through the lens of a self-driving system, and we'll focus in this discussion on the most opportune areas where Aurora Horizon can add value. To begin, and this may come as no surprise to you, the trucking market is large, it's fragmented, and it's beset with a lot of challenges, nearly all of which can be overcome with broad access to a safe, scalable, and efficient self-driving solution. Today's carriers have to deal with a tremendous driver shortage. This is expected to only get worse as the current workforce ages out. Even when a driver is found, average annual turnover for many of the largest carriers exceeds 90%. Meanwhile, insurance costs, spurred on by the roughly 500,000 large truck crashes reported in the United States each year, have led to on the order of 5% annual increases in insurance premiums. Aurora Horizon directly mitigates these challenges caused by driver shortage, insurance costs, fuel efficiency, and vehicle utilization. It does so while critically unlocking as yet untapped opportunity in vehicle utilization and speed of service by allowing operation near round-the-clock assets as opposed to the 11-hour bursts that humans are limited to. The value unlocked by this operational speed is massive, and we expect it to be game-changing for carriers who need to move goods quickly and long distances. Aurora Horizon's rollout has been designed to start in opportune segments of logistics, launching on Class 8 combination trucks and pulling dry vans and reefers, then expanding to other truck and trailer types. The value proposition of self-driving trucks further increases with length of haul, particularly when the 11-hour service threshold is exceeded. So for this reason, and to facilitate a skew toward more highway-centric routes and the complementarity of human drivers who prefer to stay local, Aurora Horizon's starting lanes will bias toward national and regional trips, with full truckload carriers, private fleets, and less than truckload carriers. Now, when we think about these segments in the logistics space, each tends to exhibit characteristics that influence the sequence of our development and rollout. For instance, FTL carriers' trips tend to skew longer, but with more endpoints. LTL carrier networks tend to be large and consolidated, but route lengths or route distances tend to be a little shorter. Finally, private fleets offer simplified operational integration, as you need only do it with the owner of the fleet, but generally shorter and more local hauls. So each segment is opportune in its own right and brings along interesting technical and operational considerations we expect to deploy with each. As I mentioned, we call the product we offer in the trucking logistics space Aurora Horizon. Now, Aurora Horizon consists of the Aurora Driver that operates trucks, Aurora Beacon that allows carriers and fleets to integrate with these trucks and with their existing fleet management systems, monitor and manage their dispatch, routing, health, and finally Aurora Shield that allows carriers and fleets to maximize uptime through service and maintenance, training packages, roadside assistance, and extended support. We've designed Aurora Horizon to facilitate quick integration into existing logistics networks with minimal infrastructural burden or modifications. This process, as we designed it, is fairly straightforward. A carrier or a private fleet will first buy an Aurora Driver-enabled truck from one of the OEMs that we've worked with to develop it. They'll subscribe to Aurora Horizon, and they'll get moving. Now, in nearly all cases for the first several years, we expect that the refinement of Aurora Beacon and Aurora Shield's operational interfaces with customers will happen through pre-launch pilots of the type that you've just seen us commence with FedEx. Finally, as it relates to the rollout, we've been intentional about its lane and capability sequencing. Our geographic expansion considers technical, regulatory, and commercial factors in defining the expansion path for trucks powered by our driver. The Aurora Driver's deployment starts in Texas, the largest logistics market in the United States, and then quickly expands along high-volume interstate corridors throughout the Sun Belt and then beyond. As Aurora Connect expands the Aurora Driver's operational domain beyond highway-dominant terminal-to-terminal-like operations, the network of routes offered by Aurora Horizon will expand from the interstate heavy focus that it started with into more capillary roadways. And this allows for, as I mentioned, the kind of warehouse to warehouse, dock to dock, more urban distribution center to store type routes. Meanwhile, we expect supported geographies, trailer and truck types to expand as we go. Note that this expansion path shown on this slide is not intended or expected to convey serial growth. And for instance, global routes may well begin, and probably will begin, before routes in the United States are complete. I'll spend a few minutes here now on the path to market for our ride-hailing product that we call Aurora Connect. Aurora Connect's path into ride hailing is heavily informed and powered by our unique access to Uber's data, as I was mentioning, and our strategic direction to deploy it in partnership with Uber. We'll talk in a moment about a number of ways that this data is beneficial to Aurora in our rollout sequencing. But first, if we reframe the ride-hailing market need around highways and high-speed roadways as though the backbone for a substantial fraction of ride-hailing trips, intuitively this makes sense. Consider the last time you hail a ride or the roadways you traversed moving from the airport to your hotel, from your hotel to a business district, and so on. Chances are you traversed fairly high-speed roads, oftentimes even highways. In fact, when we look at data from 24 major cities, we found that on average, nearly half of all trips exceeded 50 miles an hour at some point. And what that typically means is these very likely traveled on the kind of roads that would be unreachable to a self-driving system that cannot operate at speeds like this. This is a large, lucrative, and a technically unservable segment of the ride-hailing market that self-driving systems that are limited to operation below 45 or 50 miles an hour simply cannot serve and cannot enter. So I think this is a really interesting segment as an entry point for our ride-hailing product. And for many of these trips, as I was mentioning, this is a relatively short technological step from the terminal-to-terminal-like operations of our first trucking product. As we mentioned previously, the ride-hailing market is highly price elastic. So as we expand the Aurora Driver's operational domain in both trucking and ride-hailing, and thereby increase its scale and reduce the cost of its hardware, these declining costs will allow us to increase the addressable market by bringing down prices. To speak briefly of the Aurora Connect product bundle, the Aurora Driver, as packaged in Aurora Connect, is supported by a very similar suite of operational integration and uptime maximization tools. Like Aurora Horizon, managers of Aurora-powered passenger vehicle fleets will be equipped with fleet management tools like dispatch and routing, vehicle health monitoring and incident response tools, and service and maintenance, roadside assistance, and extended support packages. Aurora Connect is designed to feather into existing ride-hailing networks like Uber or Lyft. This allows us to selectively fulfill trip requests passed to us by the network as our capabilities expand, while we simultaneously maintain high service levels for network customers and high levels of utilization for Aurora-powered vehicles. What this means is if the Aurora Driver can fulfill a given ride request that comes in through the network, it will. If it can't, for whatever reason, for instance, because the rider's intended destination requires traversal of a set of roadways it hasn't yet mastered, the network simply passes that request on to a human driver who fulfills the ride. In this way, user expectations in terms of wait time, driving safety, arrival time are satisfied. SLAs are kept very, very high, and Aurora-powered vehicles can be more heavily utilized on trips their current state of development suits them for. Finally, Aurora Connect's rollout is heavily informed by our unique access to Uber's data. Like our trucking product, we consider several technological, regulatory, and commercial factors in the market selection and sequencing for our ride-hailing product. And we've got a powerful tool to do so in Uber's data. This data allows us to prioritize markets, sequence features, and operate fleets to greatest effect. Through the years, members of the team formerly working at ATG created powerful tools to mine this data. In this example, allowing us to study how trip volumes and geographic reach are expected to change as we unlock additional self-driving capabilities, and understanding what fraction of available trips or existing trips would be addressable were we to bring online certain features in certain sequences. So we're using tools like these as we plan the entry sequence of Aurora Connect product into various markets. So that's a brief glimpse into how we're approaching the market, the product, and the rollout for our trucking product, Aurora Horizon, and our ride-hailing product in Aurora Connect. We think it's the right path, and I'm confident ours is the right team with the right partnerships to execute it. Thanks for your time today. I'll look forward to sharing more with you as this plays out.